Okay, I'm back. And hopefully, very soon, Brittney will be tuning on. So I know this is the third time. Hopefully, this is the charm. We are just having some technical difficulties. I'm going to give a recap for anyone who catches the replay or who actually ends up tuning in later. So I am here today to interview Brittney Bergen. She is a former weightlifting champion, and she's also a really successful business coach, an online business coach for nutrition coaching and all of these wonderful things. She is so inspiring. She is a go-getter. She makes things happen, and I am so happy for our friendship, and I'm so happy that we have connected in life because she is. All right, let's try and add you, Brittney. Okay, hello.
Hello, babe. How's it going?
Good. Yes, that works so much better this time. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in with us as we experience our technical difficulties. Okay, so let's go right into it. I already kind of gave the little intro on you, Brittney. I told them that you were a former weightlifter, that you're a successful online nutrition coach, and she's killing it. And I would love to introduce you to all of my friends on Facebook who don't know you, who aren't from Saskatchewan, particularly from Moose Jaw. We want the whole world to know what you're about and your mission and our mission collectively. So I am going to take it away. Brittney, I would love to just ask you to share with us what your journey was through weightlifting, through fitness, and how you turned to a more holistic approach.
Yeah, I would love to share that. Thanks for joining, everybody. I see Nikki on here. I see a lot of my peeps on here. So thank you for being with us. And Sarah, I'm going to get you to repeat the question because I was looking at all the lovely peeps in the comments. So you want me to share about my journey from weightlifting to where I am now? Is that what you want to hear?
Yes, how you kind of got into fitness, how you got to weightlifting, and now how you're into a more holistic approach.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super happy to share that. And just so you know, everybody, my dog is still in bed. It's like 10 after 11 here. So if he gets out of bed, he's a little lazy wiener dog. I might have to run and let him out while Sarah entertains you all. So, yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So, how I got into weightlifting? Well, first I got into CrossFit. Hey, Amanda, thanks for being here. First, I got into CrossFit. And I got into CrossFit because before that, I did a bikini competition. So, really, we've got to go back to my youth growing up. And I was a small town girl, right from Bigger, Saskatchewan. New York is big, but this is bigger. That's our slogan. And from there, as a small town girl, you know, what do small town girls do? They play all of the sports, right? So I played all of the sports. And eventually that led me to strength training to get better at hockey. So I was already doing strength training just to be a better skater, a better hockey player. And I wanted to be a competitive hockey player at a high level. And I didn't quite make the cut in university for the hockey team. And from there, I went to playing rec. I had a few knee injuries and everything that held me back a bit. And, you know, it just didn't go the way I wanted it to go with hockey. And then I was still training more bodybuilding style. And one of my sisters did a bikini competition and she won. And that really inspired me. So I was a lot like her. And I thought if she could win this bikini competition, surely I could do the same thing. And there was a small town competition in North Battleford that I entered. And I ended up getting third place. And I like got super lean, like really jacked, right? I didn't do it in the most nutritious way. I cut back almost all the carbs I was eating. I ate only half a cup of oatmeal in the morning, besides having like fibrous vegetables, which don't really count as carbohydrates if you're in the macro world. So I didn't do it in the healthiest way. It was like 5, maybe 8 weeks. I think only 5 that I really pushed myself to get in bikini competition shape. And don't get me wrong, I had a good body. I was athletic. I've always had a pretty good body. Besides, in university, I did gain some weight. So there's photos of me about 20 pounds overweight that you can see. Um, Anyways, yeah, I did this bikini competition, got third place, like maybe had a couple extra pounds to lose. I felt like I should have won, and people came up to me afterwards and they were like, you should have won, like you were robbed, all of this stuff. And so I ended up crying in the back change room after that bikini
Aw.
competition. And I was like, why did I even do this? I should have won, all this different stuff. I can't even remember completely because it's been so long. And it was like the next day I messaged my friend who was training CrossFit because I was like, well, this isn't making me happy, right? So let's try out this functional fitness thing. And I had seen her posting pictures of her whiteboard and sweat angels and everything laying on her floor, and just seeing the way her workout was different every day. And that's what really appealed to me, because in the bodybuilding world, if anyone watching is a bodybuilder, you know, most bodybuilders follow the same program every week. It's like Mondays, chest day, Wednesdays, leg day, whatever, right? And I actually wasn't even training my arms because at that time, I felt like I had too big of arms as a woman already, right? So it was like, oh, I'll just do legs. And opposite of what the men do, right? So I got into CrossFit and I was really excited because this was a performance-based fitness, which I had never experienced before. It was always about aesthetics. It was always about the way that I look. And so, you know, to let go of this aesthetic focus and to focus on performance goals, like how much can I lift? How fast can I do this workout? And to have the variety of doing something new every day was really empowering for me. So it was like the first step on this empowering journey. And eventually, you know, I got competitive. I started competing in CrossFit. I competed at a world level in powerlifting at an international level. And I competed in 2 Olympic weightlifting nationals. And how did I get to where I am now? Like, my main movement modality is yoga. And really it was a shedding off layers of a false identity, right? So I was becoming who I thought I had to be based on what society valued, rather than what my soul really wanted to express us in the world. And so, you know, yoga, I remember I went to this yoga class in Miami, Florida. It was after my international meet, which was North American Powerlifting Championships, which I won. And I not only did I win my weight class, I won Best Classic Female Lifter. So out of all of the women, I had the highest. It's called the Wilks. So based on body weight, I lifted the most out of all of the women from all of these countries. So North American and Caribbean. So there's also people from Caribbean countries competing there. So it was such an amazing experience. I won. I heard my national anthem played on top of a podium. I went and I like stripped down from my Team Canada jacket and wind suit basically, and I went in my singlet swimming in the ocean, and it was such an amazing freeing experience. And after that, my boyfriend at the time and we went to Miami for a little vacation. I had been training really hard, right? I wanted to reward myself with some time off to relax, and all I wanted to do was like practice yoga and lay on the beach. And so that's what I did. And I went to this yoga class, and it was like no other yoga class I went to. And like the woman at the front was like playing an organ, and we did like lion's breath for the first time, which if you guys don't know, it's like sticking your tongue out and breathing with a fierce exhale. And like, that was really weird to me at the time. And yet there was something inside of me that was like, fuck yes. That was like blown open in that yoga class, because, you know, yoga really means, and you could talk more about this, Sarah, is to yoke or union. So for me, it's about bringing the mind, body, and spirit together in union, right? And I experienced that in a deep way in one of your classes. I can talk more about that. But anyways, I did this class and I felt that union, right? I was like, I felt connected to my body in a way that I'd never felt powerlifting. And my soul was like, yes, 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 this is what I've been wanting to do. And so honestly, it took me a few years after that to peel back these layers of who I thought I had to be to earn love. That's really what I was trying to do. And if you guys are interested in more of my story, I'll keep it a little shorter here. I share a lot on Mike Bledsoe's podcast, The Bledsoe Show, or The Shrugged Collective. It's episode 97 of The Bledsoe Show. So I get more into this on there. But, you know, I just knew my soul was saying, Brittney, practice yoga, stop lifting. And it took me 2 years to cut back on the lifting and to get into this place where, you know, I maybe lift 4 or 5 days, maybe more. Like, it's changing all the time. It's constantly evolving, right? So I lifted yesterday and the day before just some light kettlebell and dumbbell stuff to mostly like glute work, hamstring work, because I find like in a seated position all day, most of us have soft glutes. So if this is the posterior chain here, we have soft glutes because we're in the seated position. If this is our quads, we have tight quads and soft glutes, right? So that's what I really work on when I do strength train, is strengthening the glutes and stretching and releasing the quads. So strengthening the back body and releasing the front body. So as far as weightlifting and weight training, that's what I do now. And we could also get into the nutrition side of things if you're interested in that.
Yes, I would love to. It's so funny how you're talking about peeling off layers. We haven't even talked about this, but this has been like a recurring theme in my yoga classes of late. So it's, what is it that society is wanting to tell you? What is
Hmm.
it like the false things that you believe you have to do about in your life in order to be fulfilled or have purpose? And just trying to shed that layers off, just like literally taking off jackets. And so it's really cool to hear you speak about that and how you've been going through it over years. And that's how
Hmm.
it led you to this very point. So thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. Yeah, more into the nutrition side of things. You were saying when you were weightlifting and when you were doing the bikini competition that although you had this beautiful body and you were jacked and you had all of this muscle mass and perfect figure, you weren't actually treating your body the best way. So how did you nutritionally, through your experience, realize that that wasn't working for you, and how did you find what you're doing now, which is superfoods?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to talk about that. Thank you for the great question. And I love the way you worded it, Sarah, because you said, and let me pick up Wiener. He wants to come up here. Come
Ooh,
on,
wiener the
boy.
weenie.
Yeah, and then I'll probably have to get you to entertain the audience for a few minutes after this question. We've got more questions in the comments. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so if you have more questions, just drop them below, right? And I'll get Sarah to look them up at the end, and we'll make sure we go over them. This is Wiener, everybody. He's my
He's the
little
cutest
lovey.
little wiener dog
Yeah, give
ever.
us some more hearts for Wiener and for this interview. Yeah, so let's talk about nutrition and my nutrition journey throughout the whole thing. And I also have an ebook that was originally called My Nutrition Journey. Jeremy loves Wiener. Awesome. Yeah. So, anyways, I like to talk about it that way because I tell people also that, you know, it is a journey. And if you're still doing the same thing nutritionally that you were doing 2 years ago, you're not evolving, right? So
Hmm.
it's about constantly evolving and changing what we're doing and keeping variety in our life. Like, I was thinking about this before the interview. Variety is the spice of life, and we see the value of variety when it comes to like having kids and giving them a variety of experiences, right? So we got to keep evolving when it comes to nutrition. We got to keep evolving. Like, I was thinking about this as a couple, right? So if you're in a relationship, keep your date night and keep changing it and keep changing up what you're doing in the bedroom and keep it exciting, right? So constantly evolving and deepening that connection. And the same should be true with our body, right? Evolving our movement practice and deepening our connection with our body over time and building that relationship, just like parents really value their relationship with their children, right? Or like I value my relationship with my weenie. So anyways, yeah, I love the way that you said I wasn't doing what was best for my body because that's the truth the whole way. And the truth is we don't know what we don't know. So I was always doing what I thought was best. So if you're doing anything that I was doing along the journey, I want to honor you because chances are you're not doing it because you're like, I don't love my body. You're doing it out of love in your current awareness. So it's about expanding our awareness and educating ourselves about the opportunities that are there to nourish us at a higher level. So really, let's go through yeah, I'll just quickly talk about childhood. So childhood, like a banana before a hockey game. I loved lasagna and baked spaghetti as one of my favorite things. I loved Captain Crunch, and I kept that in during my lifting career for my treat meals, right? So all of these different things that I wasn't aware were jam-packed of like herbicides and pesticides, right? So I also really worked from a young age to get my family to make better nutrition decisions. So that would be like switching from white bread to whole grains or having a salad on the side, right? So little things like that. I was aware from a young age. I was reading Women's Health from the age of 10. And then from there, getting better and better information available to me, right? So let's fast forward to CrossFit. And when I was doing CrossFit, I started with the paleo mentality because that's what I thought was best at that time. So meat and vegetables, right? And the thing is, I was doing paleo wrong. So you would find me like at a chiropractor appointment with a piece of bacon or like 3 strips of bacon in my purse as a snack with a protein shake. So like the amount of fat that I was consuming in a day was absurd. And so I actually gained weight eating paleo, doing CrossFit. And then I got on the macro train, which if you're not aware is tracking the amount of protein, carbs, fat, and calories that you consume in a day. I started eating carbohydrates again. Remember, I said the bikini competition, I'd cut them out almost entirely. So I'd been basically all over the map with nutrition. And if we go back to university, it was like, platters of nachos and beers on the weekend. And that's
Yep.
when I gained that extra 20 pounds. Like the freshman 15 was real for me. And I wasn't even aware because honestly, I loved myself so much at that time that I would look in the mirror and still see, like I had almost reverse body dysmorphia. I would still see the thinner woman that I was when I graduated high school and was playing all these sports and eating a little healthier to look good in my grad dress or whatever it was, right? So macros was the last thing that I did. And then I slowly, again, as I was stripping back these layers of sport, I was also adding in layers of superfoods. So I started with like probiotics, which, I don't know if I would consider a superfood, but it was something new that I added to my diet. Probiotics to improve my digestion. And then I added in one green supplement with like spirulina and chlorella and bee pollen and medicinal mushrooms and all these things. And I would have that in my shake. And from there now, superfoods have really become the foundation of my nutrition system. And I think this guy's eager to go outside. So yeah, so really I have now at least one superfood shake a day. I have a superfood supplement at the end of the day made from tart cherries that allows my body to down regulate. And it's actually the only food in the world that has naturally occurring melatonin. And it also pulls free radicals, which are cancer causing agents from the system while you're sleeping. So I have that. And then I take, the best quality vegan aminos multiple times throughout the day. Anytime I go a few hours without eating, I'll be taking those. And I also have an amazing product called Biomedic, which pulls those herbicides and pesticides that I told you I wasn't aware as a child. I started eating organic about 7 years ago because it just resonated with me intuitively, right? Like, of course we wouldn't spray shit on our food. That just seems logical to me, right? And so I switched to organic about 7 years ago along with paleo. And now I eat almost entirely plant-based as well. So hardly any meat. If I eat meat, it's on a date night with my boyfriend when he prepares the meal. Or, sometimes when I'm on my period, I like to eat red meat. I just feel like it grounds me and, it could be the iron in it. I'm not sure, right? I call myself an intuitarian now. So I eat intuitively, right? Whatever I'm guided to, whether it's a vegan pizza or whether it's like a big superfood salad, that's what I eat. I eat a lot of sweet potatoes. So yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm posting like my big salads a lot. I love those. I'm posting my green drinks, like a lot more greens. I've always been into greens, but now I know the quality and the nutrient density that I'm getting through these shakes and everything is so much higher than I could get with our nutrient depleted food supply, because really our soils are depleted. That's the truth. And when you buy these superfood products and you invest in yourself in that way, you're investing in next level fucking nutrition. Like, you're investing in nutrition that's controlled every process of the way, from the minerals in the soil to making sure that it's kept miles and miles away from polluting industries. Every fucking step of the way it's monitored. So yeah, now my nutrition system, the foundation is superfoods, and I almost supplement with food if I'm being entirely honest.
I like that. For sure. Brittany, I can let you, I can take over a little bit if you have to go let your dog out. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that. Like, for me in my kind of health journey, like, I started researching for a long time, and it started with a little bit of awareness of like, oh, I feel like crap after I eat this, I probably shouldn't eat that. But then it got further into like, well, the whys behind it. And I think the first kind of like natural thing that I got interested in was essential oils, and that was like the first little gateway to realizing that there's so much more in our world of food.
Mm-hmm.
because then I became more conscious. I started noticing after I used essential oils that artificial fragrance gave me a headache. Like I can't
Mm.
even go down the aisle now with all of the cleaners and the air fresheners. And then right away, I just knew, okay, there's something very wrong here because I used to just be so blind to this stuff. But now that I've switched to something more natural, I can actually detect within my body that there's something fake that I'm breathing in or I'm eating. So then that
Yes.
continued with my food. So I started searching for more natural options. So again, I just really want to reiterate and support you. If you're anywhere along this, if you're starting to draw awareness into what you're doing in your life, good for you. And I just want to encourage you to keep on doing that. I don't want to tell you that anything you're doing is wrong. I want to encourage you to continue doing that. And eventually, hopefully, through knowledge and through education and what Brittney and myself have to share about superfoods, it's going to just light a spark within you. It's going to resonate with you. It's going to kind of just stay with you because you know that there's something more.
Yeah, I love that, babe. That's so beautifully said. And Wiener looks pretty cozy here actually right now. He's just curled up on
Oh,
my lap. So I think we're good to go for
okay.
a few more minutes.
Never mind then. I guess that was just a little side note.
Yeah, I love it. It's
So,
so amazing.
and
It's so important.
yeah, I love what you said, intuitarian, because that's what I felt. I felt like I've never fit into any kind of like category. And in the human like race and culture, that's what we love to do. We love to categorize each other. And I felt almost like left out because I didn't fit anything, but I was trying to honor my body and know what was true for me. And I didn't really know anything out there that was working until I found you, Brittney. So, would you share a little bit more about the superfoods? I know you were talking about the biomedic. Could you maybe
Hmm.
share a little bit about how that actually eliminates pesticides from our system?
Yeah, so truth is I'm not an expert about any of this stuff. And that's the beautiful thing is what I believe about these superfoods is it's about giving people total radical responsibility of their own health. So all I know is that, well, there are a few different acids within it that pull those herbicides and pesticides. And I do know that in a 6-week study, and they've done multiple studies on this, and there's a bigger one coming out soon, 75% of the glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, was removed from these participant cells. So that's profound. In only 6 weeks of using this biomedic product, 75% of this harmful herbicide was pulled out of people's cells. So yeah, you can look at the ingredients if you're interested. We can send that over to you. You can message Sarah after this, and that's how it works. Is those acids in it pull it out. So that's what I know. And the main thing I want to share is like, you don't need to be an expert. And I think one of the mistakes that we are making as a society is allowing other people to be experts of our body. So that's what I love about yoga, right? What I love about it is that it's about getting to know your own body and becoming the expert of your own body. So rather than, as you develop your yoga practice, eventually you're likely going to be practicing on your own or with a very advanced teacher because you're going to know what your body needs more than anyone else. And I believe it's the same with our nutrition journey, right? With our nutrition journey, it's about taking our power back rather than relying on, like, yes, please go to the doctor. And everything that a doctor says or a nutrition coach says, filter it within your own awareness and say, does this make sense for me? Does this make sense to me? And allow your intuition to guide you to the things that are right for you because, you might end up doing something nutritionally or training wise 2 years from now that you would never imagined you would be doing. So Nikki's asking here, we'll jump on this question right now. What's the benefit of getting glyphosate out of your gut? So I can talk a bit to that. Do you want me to talk to that, Sarah?
Yes, please. I feel like a lot of people
Yes.
don't even know what glyphosate is, and that's the scariest thing.
For sure. And there's tons of studies and research coming out on this, you guys, and tons of news articles. So this isn't new anymore. Monsanto lost a huge court case a few months ago due to someone suing them over health issues from glyphosate being sprayed on their food, right? And also I saw a news article just a few days ago, and it said, we're not gluten intolerant, we're glyphosate intolerant. So there's
Mm-hmm.
tons of reasons to pull this harmful chemical from your system. And one of the main ones I want to shine light on is mental health issues. So a lot of us, we just wake up feeling like, oh, I don't really want to get out of bed today, or things like that. So if that's you, your serotonin levels could be being affected by this harmful chemical. So 80%, 70 to 80% of the serotonin that our body produces is produced in the gut microbiome. So that's why, I was doing all the probiotics in the world. I was switching brands. What's the best probiotic? If you're just putting the bacteria in and you're not pulling this herbicide out, you're almost like putting a Band-Aid on. So in our small intestine, it's called the microvilli. They're like these little finger-like structures that actually absorb the nutrients from our food. And when these get damaged, which they get killed by glyphosate, because glyphosate is designed to kill anything that's not genetically modified, right? Like these little guys in our intestine, the shag carpet of our intestine. So someone with celiac disease, they say you can describe that as they've burnt the shag carpet of their small intestine. So what Biomedic does is it allows not only it has some probiotics and prebiotics in it as well, which feed the probiotics, which is amazing and revolutionary, because most supplements are just probiotics. There's no prebiotics, right? So Biomedic has both, and it has these acid ingredients that pull the glyphosate. So we're attacking this from all angles, right? We're pulling the herbicide out of the system. We're healing and restoring those microvilli. They're allowed to grow again because we're removing the glyphosate from the body. And then we're also putting in spore forms of prebiotics and probiotics to support the development of your natural microbiome and your natural bacteria there. So does that answer your question, Nikki? And is there any other questions? So when that happens, then the gut can again create that serotonin that's going to allow you to feel happier throughout the day. So anyone with a mental health disorder or anything like that, depression, anxiety, you got to get working on your gut microbiome. And I believe Biomedic is the best way to do that.
Me too. And also, if you have digestive issues, if you eat and you constantly feel bloated, or you're running to the bathroom, or you feel sick, or if you experience brain fog, I feel like that's an epidemic as well. I think that's why there's such a big craze for coffee. People think it's because they didn't get enough sleep or they're too tired. No, it's because your gut microbiome is totally thrown off, and it's creating this kind of like fogginess up here, because your gut is like your second brain, and it controls a lot of what happens up in here. Yes, I love that, Nikki. Clean up your gut, clear up your mind. Doesn't that resonate with you? Okay, so Brittney, I want to move this a little bit more. I want to talk a little bit more about your nutrition coaching business. Brittney has been an online nutrition coach for like 3 years. She is full-time. She is like the definition of people who aspire to do things online and actually rock it. Like, she actually has other people who work for her as well, all through online. So can you share that? Because I know how credible you are, and I know all the things that you've done, but I just want to kind of shower on you a little bit, and I would love people to know exactly what you do for a living.
Yeah, for sure. So I have 3 companies now. And that's just exploded and expanded in the last year or so. As I evolve and as we grow, different opportunities come to me. And as I get in touch with my intuition, I can feel what's a fuck yes for me, right? What's a fuck yes fit, and what's a fuck yes next step for me. So it all started about 3 years ago with my company, Idealistic Isabel. And at that time, I was a CrossFit coach. I was looking to be a personal trainer at a gym in Regina, and that opportunity didn't work out. And so I had this someday goal, right? And this is what I want to encourage the audience. If you have a someday goal, there's never going to be a fucking perfect time. Today is your someday. So that's what I realized, is someday I was going to launch my own business. And when this other personal training job fell through, it was like, I guess my someday's today. So I moved back in with my mom and dad. I lived in there. They have a suite above their garage. I lived in there. And I describe it like I was like a mad scientist. And if you came into the room, you would see like papers everywhere. I wouldn't shower for like 3 days. And I was working on creating nutrition programs. That's what I started with, because people saw me at CrossFit competitions and they were already asking me, like, can you support me with this? So I want to encourage you, if you're watching and people are asking for your help, that's your sign from the universe. This is your next step, right? Trust yourself. If people are already seeing you as an expert and asking you for support, then roll with that. Give your audience what they want, right? So people were asking me, Brittney, support me with my nutrition. So, you know, the universe was giving me all the signs. That doesn't mean it wasn't fucking scary, right? Because before that, I was a teacher too, right? So I was a teacher for 3 years. I had the good job, the good pension, all of this bullshit, right? That society says. And that's, again, peeling back the layers. Is I peeled back this identity and this societal view of what was esteemed and what was good. And, you know, there were moments when my mind would go, oh, why don't I just go back to teaching? Can I really do this? And that's what everyone else around me was saying. And I was like, no, I can't. I would have that thought for 1 second, and there was something inside me that was like, you got to keep moving forward. You can do this. So I had days, honestly, like scream crying in my bed. Like, what am I doing? This isn't working. And I just kept moving. What's the next step? What's the next inch? And that's what I want to encourage you too, is like, if it were easy to launch your own business, everyone would be doing it. So, you know, it takes resilience. It takes this spark inside of your soul, similar to what Sarah mentioned earlier about nutrition, right? Like, hopefully this video ignites a spark in you, and perhaps it'll ignite that spark in you for becoming an entrepreneur, right? For becoming your own boss, for setting your own schedule, for fulfilling your own vision and doing work for the greater good. Because that's what it came to for me. And I want to share a quick story, if that's cool.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I want to share a quick story about when I was teaching in this Northern First Nations community. So I was teaching in a First Nations community, small town white girl, right? And I was in the staff lounge the one day, and an elder came in, and he was visiting from another community. And he spoke and addressed the whole staff. And I don't remember what he said, right? There's that whole quote. People won't remember what you say or do. They will remember the way you made them feel. So hopefully you guys feel loved up on and supported by this video, because that's really our intention, is that you would feel loved up on, that you would feel nurtured and supported, whether it's becoming an entrepreneur or with your nutrition. That's what we want for you, is to feel loved and supported and seen wherever you're at on your journey. I want to celebrate you. You're here, you're watching this video, you made it this far in. Like, you're fucking amazing. You're dynamite. You are one of those sparks that we need to see more of. So we're here to fan your fucking flame brighter. And so I was in the staff lounge, and this elder came, and he made us all feel just so important and significant as these educators, right? Educating the next generations. And he came up and he walked straight over to me, the one little tiny white girl. Well, there was a few of us, but one of them, right afterwards, and he handed me a cigarette. And if you have done any work with First Nations culture, he was giving me a tobacco offering, which was like a very honorable thing, right? And I felt so humble and so grateful. And he looked at me, and it was like he could see into my soul, and he said, whatever you do, you will always be a teacher. And I'll never forget that, because that's what I kept returning to as I was this mad scientist coming back to my parents' suite above their garage. I had my garage gym down below. I was working on these nutrition programs up above, and I developed a 14-week nutrition program, which was habit-based and included macros. So most of the industry at the time was only teaching macros. And it's like, okay, hit your protein, carb, and fat goal for the day, and that's all there is to it. And I was like, you know, there's got to be more to it than that. Like, what about micronutrients? What about vegetables? What about fiber? What about supplementation? All of these things. So that's what our 14-week nutrition program through Idealistic Isabel is. And that's where I have been lucky enough to have 3 gorgeous goddesses work under me: Jessica Grant, Raina Wright, and Amanda Onashenko, supporting people in that vision of already a more holistic approach to nutrition. And from there, when I discovered what I call now my foundational nutrition system, which is these superfoods That was like a light bulb, like an aha moment. Like, this is what I have always been looking for. And as soon as I discovered that, it obliterated the 14 weeks. It obliterated these 14 habits, because you get these fucking superfoods in your system, you guys, it's going to change what you crave. So I want to share,
Mm-hmm.
if you've never had a green drink before, like ours that I recommend is called the Power Shake. If you've never had that before, it might taste shitty for 3 days. I'm just being honest with you. And that's because your body is in an acidic state. So likely you're experiencing a lot of inflammation, pain, your recovery is poor from your workouts, or you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's available to you when you move into an alkaline state. So as I got this green drink in my system over a 10-day transformation, right, which is where we flood our body with these phytonutrients, and we really support our system at the cellular level. I call it like giving yourself a cellular hug. You're going to feel nurtured and nourished in a way you never have before. When I did that, I was like, this is what I was looking for. And so this green drink, you guys, it might taste shitty for 3 days. I'm being honest with you. On the 4th day, my taste buds shifted. My body became in an alkaline state. Inflammation goes down. You notice with you, Sarah, like your stomach shrunk a bunch, right? So my bloating in 2 days was gone. I'd worked with athletes for years who wanted abs, right? Like everybody wants fucking abs. Okay, yes, I get it. It's aesthetically pleasing. And the biomedic was the missing piece in, I believe, everyone's diet for getting those abs, because I had athletes who, if they sucked in their gut, yeah, look, they have abs. And yet if they relax, it's like this protruding, distended gut, right? And so that was gone for me in 2 days. I had backed off on my workouts because I wasn't feeling well. And I was feeling fatigued, right? And as soon as I got this foundational nutrition system, I was back to 2-a-day workouts, like the 2nd day in. And I did an athlete's transformation. Basically, I did athlete's meals with the ultimate nutrition package, which I would recommend for everyone starting out if you're willing to make that personal investment in your health. So yeah, like this was game changing for me. I believe it obliterated the 14 weeks that I used to take people through. So this is the only way I support people. Because again, it's bringing back that total radical responsibility to you. Like to you, Sarah, you were one of the people I reached out to and said, babe, I know you've struggled with health issues. I've got what you've been looking for. And you were like, yep, sign me up, let's do this, right? So why don't you share a little bit more about your experience with that 40-day transformation that you did? What did you notice and what changed for you? I know you did a written post, and I would love for people to hear about it on this video right now.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to share that, and maybe just a little put some pieces in there that maybe I didn't in the post. So what led me
Yeah, and
to
I'm going to sneak out real quick and let Wiener out, and then I'll be right back. So tell
Sounds
the peeps about your experience.
I'll tell the peeps. You guys are peeps. All right. So what led me to kind of like the 40-day nutrition, even though I already had this awareness of eating well and eating natural, eating organic, it just still felt like there was things missing. And my gut is just still was so inflamed because everything I ate, I was intolerant to dairy, gluten, soy. I couldn't process red meat, even raw vegetables. My stomach lining was so damaged, it couldn't even properly break down vegetables, which is something that we're supposed to eat. So anything with like a hard skin on them, anything nightshades, anything that was acidic would just instantly make my stomach pop out. I would have gas, bloating, discomfort. I would either get constipated or I'd be running to the bathroom right after. So there was no like happy medium. And through all of this, as my body's going through all of these crazy drastic changes, it's causing me to get really tired. So I just felt like I was, even though trying to eat healthy, there was still something missing there. And then as soon as I started doing the 40-day transformation, my stomach bloat just kind of disappeared. I wasn't fatigued because my body wasn't going on this roller coaster anymore. I felt like I was taking something that was supporting me and then accelerating me. And then I felt like my body was naturally healing itself. And then I was like, okay, Brittney, like I got back to you. Like this stuff is like the stuff. Like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. And I just never knew that anything so good could be so neatly packaged and available because I am a busy girl. You guys are busy people. Our lives don't stop. So if you don't have X amount of hours in a day to prepare all natural, all those kinds of things, the amount of effort it takes to eat good, it's hard. And then what happens when you get really hungry? You grab for the junk food, you grab for the fast food, you grab for those things that you see the most because your body just needs some sort of sustenance. So for me, when I had the power shake, it was so neatly packaged. I could just carry the powder form with me whenever I got hungry, threw the power shake in. It carried me through. I felt well supported and it was sustainable in my busy day. So that's kind of how the 40 day has transformed me.
I love it.
So,
I love it, babe.
yeah, now that you're back, Brittany, I would love to know some of your customers as well, how it's changed their life, and more about how it's given power back to people. Because for me, I don't want to tell people what to do. And I'll be totally honest, when I started the 40 day, because I'm already pretty in tune with my body, I didn't follow it perfectly. And Brittany, you gave me permission to do that. You're like, it's you, it's your body. Listen to what your body is telling you. And that made me feel so empowered, and it gave me like this new life. Like, yeah, I do. Like, no, I'm not a victim to like feeling crappy, and I have the tools right here right now to feel good. So I'm going to take it and run with it. And that's what I did. And I want to encourage any one of you who try the 40 day. Yes, there's like a guide, and I'll say guide. That is just to help guide you along that way if you've never been into intuitive eating, if you've never done healthful eating before. But really, you can take it and you can do what you want with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that, babe. So I want to talk about, because some of you watching this may not be aware, I'm transitioning into more spiritual mentorship. So that's the way that I am showing up and serving the world and the greater good now. So, I can say my customers have noticed one of the biggest things is that an increase in productivity and mental cognition. So one of my customers, for example, messaged me a few weeks in, and she's like, I can work every night until like 11 and I'm getting so much done, and then sleeping deeply and recovering, right? So people notice deeper sleep, all that good stuff, reduced bloat, all that amazing stuff. And then the piece on spiritual awakening is people's spiritual gifts are being activated with this stuff. So like for me, my intuition is operating on higher levels than ever before, unlocking psychic abilities and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun. It's really exciting. And that's what I encourage people with this is it's like the grounding force. If you've done any spiritual healing work or anything like that, it's like the grounding force for all the spiritual healing work that you've been doing. So that's what I noticed for me. That's what a lot of my customers notice. I've had people also with celiac disease who have seen tremendous results as soon as they've got the biomedic in their body, right? So that's one of the biggest pieces I want to point out. And if you have celiac disease, you really need to take total radical responsibility for your health, because if you're watching this and what you're doing isn't working, it's time to try something new and take your power back. So all we can ever do is support our peeps, right? Like I always give people permission to explore using their intuition, because I don't want to hold hands anymore, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want you. And I've always said that, even with my 14-week program, it's like, the whole point of the habit system was to educate people and give them all the knowledge that they needed so that they would never need my help again. That's what I would always say. Whereas these macro-based approaches, oftentimes it is hand-holding. And when you don't have a coach sending you your macros every week, you don't know what to fucking do, right? So I never wanted to be that person. I always wanted to give people their power back. And that's what this is doing on more and more powerful levels all the time. One of my friends, Carly Cruz, had an amazing transformation. I've shared it on my wall. So take a look at her transformation. It's outstanding. And the mental changes too, like people are happier. People are wanting, that's something I noticed in myself, is just this desire to give even more, because I was finally nurtured and nourished at the cellular level. I wanted to give and help people more and more and more. So yeah, I think there are some questions in the comments. Can you see all of them, Sarah? Can you scan through them? We could go through questions now if that feels good for you. Did that answer your question fully?
Yes, and for sure. And I just want to kind of also touch base on more of like the spiritual aspect. So wherever you are, I know a lot of people who are friends with me and a lot of audience that I have a Christian faith. They believe in Jesus, they believe in God. And sometimes if you hear people who just have a slightly different perspective, it might sound weird. So what my personal belief is, when I'm taking care of my body, my spirit, the Holy Spirit that's dwelling inside me, I am being more guided by what the Holy Spirit is nudging me to do. So I just want that to be, I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I want to support you in what you believe, Brittney. I support you in what you believe, and I support my other audience as well who believe in Jesus. Okay,
I believe in Jesus too, for the record.
He's my man. Yes, and absolutely. I want it to be, I want people to know that there's no judgment there, for sure.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think a lot of people just have a very closed mind. So just being open to listen, and then from there you draw your truth, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Sander asked earlier, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you feel on a daily basis before and now?
Oh, I love that question. I want to do it, and I want you to do it as well, Sarah. Sarah, why don't you go first on that one?
Okay. Well, before I felt like a negative one, we'll say. So that's worse than 0. I was so sick. I felt so terrible. And now I would say, and this is a process, guys. I know I'm going to continue getting better, and it's going to continue evolving as these superfood nutritions continue to work in and through me, and as I continue to eliminate the glyphosate from my system. So I would say right now I'm about like a 7. So that's a huge, like a huge transformation. And I believe as I continue to go, like it's only going to increase, right? I feel not only now is it changing what I think about food, it's also changing what I think about being physically active. So, not only am I craving good food, I'm craving good exercise and different forms of movement. And also, I never shared before, but I also had some hormonal things going on within my body. So it's fixing all the other systems in my body, and it just starts with the gut. So I totally believe that I will be to that 10 out of 10, maybe even surpass that. So,
I love
Brittney,
it.
where are you, or where were you, and where are you now?
Yeah, I think before, and I want to speak to like, we don't know what we don't know. So had you asked me to rate my health without ever being exposed to this foundational nutrition system, I would have said, I'm a 7 to a 9, right? I would have said I'm a 7 to a 9 because I didn't know what was possible. And something that opened me up to this is I was listening to a podcast about 2 years ago, one of Mike Bledsoe's shows, the 4th episode of the Bledsoe Show with Ronnie Landis, who is one of my business partners in this new opportunity. Hi, Dave. Happy to have you here. And one of the things he said is if you're only tracking macros, you're missing out on another entire realm of nutrition. And that got me curious, right? So if this only piques your curiosity today, that's fucking great, right? I'm excited for you. Add in one superfood. That's what I did, is I added in like 1 after that, right? And I stayed there for a year or 2 before I was ready to flood my body with these phytonutrients. So had you asked me what my health was, I would have said 7 to 9, right? I'm healthy. I'm eating whole foods. I'm eating real food. I'm eating meat and vegetables, right? I'm eating organic, all this stuff. You don't know what you don't fucking know. And so as soon as I made the change, that's when I likely got to that true place. Now I am a true, like on my low days, there's still like a menstrual cycle as a woman, right? Like I haven't found a way to obliterate having days that I feel amazing and days that, before I used to feel my mood would feel really low at certain times of the cycle. Now it dips there. It's not like it's days on end like it used to be. So now I would say I really truly am a 7 to a 10 all the time, 7 to 10. as low as I get is 7 in my physical body, and as high as I get is 10. Whereas before I thought I was a 7 to 9, I was more like a 2. Does that make sense? So I would have went from a 2 to a 7 to a 10, but before I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm at a 7 to a 9. I'm a fucking nutrition coach. I tell people how to eat. I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's why I'm taking my peeps who trust me. And they're like, oh, if Brittney says it's good. Right? So, yeah, I would have went from a 2 to a 7 on a low day now and a 10 on my best day.
Absolutely. Cool. That's great. I love that. Because it's all about creating awareness and it's all about really being honest with ourselves, right? And sometimes we think we're being honest with ourselves, but we're really not. So it's kind of like humbling when you realize exactly where you are and then knowing that our egos are normally bigger than what we actually are, right? So once we step into the reality, then that's where we can grow, right? Okay,
Yeah.
and then I have another question. Quick question. Do you change your nutrition plan during winter time? Do you think it's important to consume more fats, hot meals, and spicy food during cold winter? So I'm just going to touch on that a little bit, Sandra. Thank you for bringing it up. We haven't really spoken a whole lot about this, Sandra. You and I, we haven't really talked a whole lot about nutrition. But one thing, when I got into yoga, I learned about Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga, and it's basically like the Indian medicine system. And basically it talks about eating based on your body type, your dosha, so to speak. And then it also does change seasonally. So yes, I totally believe it's important to drink more hot foods, especially where we're in Canada and it's so cold. But it's really situational, right? It's also environmental. It's where you're living is going to determine those things. And it is an intuitive thing. I already have been clinging to my tea. I've already been craving soups, been making more soups. And it's all about, again, intuitively finding what works for you. Because I don't want to tell you one thing or another. But generally, yes, I normally do eat warmer food in the winter. I was just telling Sandra a little bit about Ayurveda and how it's intuitive and it does change, it does evolve, but I normally do drink and eat warmer foods in the wintertime. And it's also environmental. It's like where you are, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that answer. And I think Sarah's more of an expert on that topic than me. So for me, I'll just bring it back, Sandra. Thank you for the question. I love that you have this inquisitive mind. And for me, it's about being an intuitarian, right? So it's always that. It's like, what
Intuitarian.
is my intuition guiding me to today? So really, it's a daily basis that I make my nutrition decisions. And I want to cleanse seasonally. That's one thing that I know for sure is I want to do a 10-day transformation in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, and in the winter. Just as we're going through that transition time, like allowing my body to detoxify and recalibrate and reactivate to my full potential. Because I think, you know, we're constantly being bombarded by toxins, even if we are doing a good job of keeping them out of our personal environment. So that was one piece that I wanted to add on.
For sure. Cool. All right. Well, this seems like we have talked about a lot. We're just going to draw into the closing. So if anyone has any more questions, you can just type them in now. This is kind of like your last chance. If not, even after we end the live video, if you have questions, please still put them in the comments. I would love to talk to each and every one of you. I hope that this resonated with you at some point. If you could draw one piece of truth from this, I would love to hear that from you. I would love to hear what you learned from it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And we can continue a conversation. It's all about creating this community to kind of like up level, to step up in our life, to show up in our life and in our nutrition and in our spirit and in our business and in our ability to become these bosses, you know, girl bosses, guy bosses. We own our lives and we can do that.
Yes, sister. Fist bump to that. Woo, woo, woo,
Woo.
woo. Guys, fist bump your phone or your computer. Join us in the fist bump.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, for now, we will close that up. Thank you so much, Brittany, for taking time out of your day. I appreciate you for showing up and always supporting me, and then always, of course, inspiring me to take control of my own life. This is why I find you are very different from anyone else that I've ever met, is you help empower me and other people, and that's what I hope to do to others as well.
Awesome, babe. You're doing it. And thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I honor you and I honor the light that you are. You are such a rock star, such a divine light being for Jesus, for everyone, for all of these amazing peeps who are in your tribe. So if you're one of Sarah's followers, one of Sarah's tribe members, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this through to the end. Thank you for being someone who is taking total radical responsibility of your life. We love you, we see you, we honor you, and we would be happy to connect with you in a private message. So drop Sarah a private message. She can connect you to me if necessary, if you want a little extra support, and we can go from there. So thank you, Sarah, for having me. This has been delightful.
Thank you. And I just want to drop one little plug here. If you have questions about being an entrepreneur and all of these things, and if you are interested in what it means to be your own boss, we would love to have a personalized three-way call with you. So that is totally available. All right, I'm going to tune out for today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.